Right, so we all good to go? All good?
Yeah, give me a heads up when I should click start recording.
Have you not clicked it
now?
yet?
No.
Have you been recording any camera stuff?
No.
Oh, I should have said that, shouldn't I? We normally have like an intro gag at the start. I should have said to record the camera. Now it's gonna be very weird because there won't be any camera for you. Oh dear. Say something funny. Say something.
I don't... You've got the gag. You found it. Here it is.
Found the good point.
It's this interaction.
Yeah. I think that embarrasses me more than you, though, because it means I didn't have the thought ahead to go, hey, make sure you've turned your camera on. Everything else was sorted, but... Hello, and welcome back to the Redcast. I'm your host, Troy, and welcome to Season 2 of the show, all about exploring the world of entertainment and the many forms it takes. And in this very special video version, I'm now starting to use face cams to make this version a bit more unique, rather than just staring at stars for the next 60 to 90 minutes. The setup I've currently got on my camera is very temporary. I'm looking to improve that in the next few weeks with an upgraded setup, so look forward to that. But either way, today's episode features Payday 2 YouTuber TheKknowley as we talk all about his origins with YouTube, leaving and coming back and bringing new content with the story videos and much more, as well as discussing our current thoughts on the status of Payday 2, as well as the future of the franchise with Payday 3. As always, if you want to listen to these episodes 2 days early, you can do so via the Patreon in the description, www.patreon.com/RedArcherLive. All patrons on there, regardless of tier, get access to the audio version 2 days before release. That's on Saturdays at 7 PM UK time, as opposed to the public release on Mondays at 7 PM UK time. If you do want to check that out, a link to it will be in the description down below. But either way, let's get right into the episode. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you all soon. So we'll start off by saying, how are you doing today? You doing well?
Yeah, really well, all things considered. You know, middle of March, but we're still trucking in England.
Yeah, been stranded a bit. It's not very good, but
yeah,
making the most of the bad situation now.
Unfortunately, but yeah, I mean, I couldn't wait to get home for a little while, and then I ended up getting stuck for 3 months. But you know. The good news keeps coming, at least from the Starbury's Payday side, so that keeps me going through these trying times.
Life is much better than it could be.
Yeah. Positive way of looking at it.
Only way you can, really, isn't it? Right, Sam. First thing I want to talk to you about is start off with your YouTube origins. So what got you started with doing YouTube or Payday content? If those are two different things, feel free to address them as such. But
yeah, In terms of YouTube, I really sort of grew up once I hit a certain age. It was like, yeah, that was my entertainment. I wasn't really watching TV anymore. I was just watching people play Call of Duty. So I watched a lot of like the Modern Warfare 2 heyday time, and I was like, yeah,
God,
this is something I want. So I started. First of all, I made a channel which most people don't know about, and I'm not going to give the name away because we can't get onto that channel to delete the content. That stuff's still out there. But
oh my God, there's a secret Knowley channel. I want to see that now. You shouldn't have mentioned that. I want to know.
Well, good luck finding it. It's got no association with my name, but it was a Team Fortress 2 channel, so I'll give you that much. I made TF2 videos for a little while with a friend of mine. It wasn't just me. The both of us were making content on that. And then I realized, okay, maybe this wasn't the direction. I'm gonna make my own channel. So that's when TheKknowley came about, because I already had Knowley and didn't think, yeah, I'll use that channel. That was my video viewing channel. So I've been stuck with TheKknowley as my moniker. And just recently I've thought, maybe I'll change that. Maybe I'll finally drop it down to just Knowley for the algorithm's sake, right?
Yeah.
And I started making the same videos that everyone started making, which was like, I started a Skyrim walkthrough, and a Fallout 3 walkthrough, and a New Vegas walkthrough, and then realized, well, maybe this is not the angle I want to go down. This is maybe not the place where the growth is at. So then I started making videos on a game that not many people making videos for, actually, which was Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate for the Wii U. I wonder why no one was making it was a really good game though. So I bought a capture card, and again, not much success. And by this time it was coming up to like sort of summer 2013, which is around about when the first Payday 2 beta came out, and a friend of mine was like, yeah, let's play this game. We rob banks. I'm like, yeah, sounds alright. Rob some banks. Right, yeah. rob some banks. Thought, yeah, this is pretty good. Enjoyed the beta a lot. I think the level cap back then was 25, but you will know how slow leveling was back then. That was like, 1 to Infamy 25.
Yeah, that was
back in the day.
Xbox 360 is still very much like that. They reckon they had an XP boost on that platform. If that's the case, then I worry about what it was before. Like,
yeah, I could believe that.
Yeah.
And then I got the game released on the 13th, right?
Yeah.
Made a couple of videos. No one really cared about my stealth gameplay, so I thought, you know what, these masks are pretty cool. Let's make some videos about the masks. So I recorded a really basic design, and people actually liked it. It was the first video. You kind of know when people are watching it that aren't just like your mum and your friends. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
Suddenly you're getting 100 views, and you're like, oh, these are real people. And then you start to see comments, and people are like, yeah, I like that mask, or that mask is absolutely atrocious. What are you doing? But I made it a daily series then. It was called Mask of the Day, which was, eventually that had to be a lie. There were no more masks for every day. But overall, that series went to about 400 episodes. Well, not 400 episodes, but about 400 masks at the very least.
Yeah.
I've made a lot of masks in my time. And that was where the channel started from, and that's where it got some traction. And then eventually I moved over to doing more news and covering what was coming out, trying to do gameplay. That was always the least successful thing on the channel for whatever reason. Come on, guys. That was 8 years ago. So
8 years.
I've been at the old Payday thing for a little while now. Been through the ups and downs, the 2015 saga, and
oh god,
the death of the game, and the
I
return
wonder what it
of
would
the
have been
game.
like to be part of that at the time with 2015, because I didn't get into the Payday stuff until 2017. I completely missed over all that. I had no idea it even happened because I was on console. I only found out retrospectively. I was like, oh god, yeah, like.
It was difficult because it was like the excitement for the game was probably its absolute maximum running into that. That year's Crime Fest had such a cool setup. They were going into like the temples of Cagliostro, and we were finally going to find some secret information out. We knew like Vlad was back, and all the main characters were around it. And the very first day, like they went all out. Drills, safes. And I just covered it. I just covered the news, right? I was like, okay, this is something. And I strongly remember not approaching like any sort of opinions or anything, but my video got slated just for talking about it. So if you can imagine what a neutral standpoint on it looked like and how that was received, imagine if someone was positive about it. It was civil war in the Payday community. But,
oh god,
we
got
got
more of a
past that.
one-sided civil war though, from the sounds of it.
It was a bloodbath.
Yeah.
But they got past it and made fairly strong decisions. It was the connotations of it at the time, the certain things that had been said in the past. So 2015 was an interesting year, but the game continued to grow. It wasn't that it was that destructive because they approached it in a relatively smart fashion, I suppose.
As smart as they could, all things considered.
Yeah. Doing it in the first place was not the smartest move, but they recovered. And also the after the first couple of DLCs as well, there was a lot of sort of negativity and things around that. So Overkill have been through the ups and downs, and my videos have sort of followed that exact pattern. Over the years.
I thought it was interesting when you said about being TheKknowley rather than Knowley, because that was the same thing with me. I mean, I didn't keep the name because it was awful, but the first thing I had was Red Archer Gaming, and then I don't know what I did, because it wasn't like a channel I used and then forgot about. I literally made it while I was getting things set up. Something happened, I'm not sure what it was. It was probably just some bug I could have quite easily fixed. I've no idea what happened, but I ended up having to make a new channel, and I'd already taken the URL, because back in the day, because people who do YouTube now don't realise like the amount of we had so much freedom with like monetization and custom URLs and things. Now there's so many like targets you have to hit to get to these points, which I found out retroactively with like new channels. So I can't even have a custom URL till I'm at 100 subs, and I'm like, oh, okay. But I took the URL and then went, well, I'm about to make a new channel. What do I call it? And instead of going, oh, I'll just come up with a new name, I was like, no, I'll make it Red Archer Gaming UK. Like, I don't understand the thought process there. To be fair, I was like 16. Was I? No, I was younger. How old was I? I think I was 14, 15. Incredibly naive, had absolutely no idea that was going to be a terrible name, And literally for about a month kept it until eventually went, that's a bit too long of a name. Like, the length was the only problem. And then changed it to Red Archer Live, because it was just, it was just not good. Whenever I mention it now, and you can still see the old videos, because I never took any of them down. You can see, like, the first video with the like, a big, long intro off, like, one of those websites where you could make your own YouTube intro. Just, like, all the novice stuff.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name
classic.
of the site, but there was one that everyone went to, because there was one particular intro that had, like, laser beams all around, and then there'd be, like, a name that spun around. It was off the same site. I tried to go for a lesser known one, but the logo was, like, a Skyrim picture. But I had Red Archer Gaming UK, and you can still see, and it was just, oh, no. So, yeah, I can relate to having to change your name because of the URL. That's just not a fun time.
I did it to myself. I was just like, no, this is my private YouTube for watching my Modern Warfare 2 videos. I can't use this name or use this channel for uploads. So I'll just throw a "the" in front of it.
Yeah, done. Easy. Simple. All fun.
But Knowley makes a lot, like, what's the Knowley? Like, I'm Knowley. But I'm not like an object. It's based off my name, right?
Maybe it means you're the one and only.
Yeah. Sorry, anyone else with my surname. Unlucky.
It may be. Yeah, just take it as a compliment to yourself. You've complimented yourself from the past. That's just the best way to look at it.
Yeah, but maybe it's time to think about reclaiming just Knowley, which I have on my Twitch and my Twitter and stuff. I think so.
Might be a good idea.
Phasing it back.
Yeah. Well, speaking of your videos going up and down, one thing I wanted to talk about a bit was, obviously, as you know, your kind of, not so much upload schedule, but your history with uploads has been somewhat up and down. You know, sometimes you've done loads of videos back to back with Mask of the Day, and then sometimes you've disappeared for months on end. What was kind of the main drive more recently to bring you back in the last year or so to the content? Like, what took you away from YouTube? What brought you back?
Okay, I mean, the probably the easiest way to explain my sporadic upload history is you just go back at, like, I was 15, 16 when Payday came out. Yeah. And, you know, I'm now coming up to 24. So I've been through quite a lot of sort of lifestyle, what's been going on in my life throughout that period. So I've actually lived in 4 different cities whilst being a Payday YouTuber, and generally that was the main disruptive element, right? Yeah. It wasn't always the easiest to move back into a different place and just make Payday content. But more recently, we actually I made a new channel, so, you know, a separate channel for a totally different game, which didn't take off. In fact, it hit a brick wall and is now gone. Oh, wow. But it really got me back into just, like, the process, the editing, and I really enjoyed doing it, especially the sort of informative style videos, less so just showing some gameplay, more trying to edit something that told you something. And I really enjoyed doing that, especially with script writing. That was something I hadn't really done in the past, at least not a lot of. It was all very much, like, ad-libbed, what I could think of in the moment. Yeah. And that was during the first lockdown. I started doing that, and from there I was like, well, I've know Payday's been getting some new content. I did make some videos back when Border Crossing came out. Let's take a look and let's see what's going on with the new Breakfast in Tijuana stuff, and that's when I started making videos, basically full time again on Payday 2, because I was pretty happy with the way the game was going and had a ton of fun with it. And maybe my greatest error was to come straight back into the game with a lot of old knowledge. That's why you have such classics or clangers as the best build of 2020, which was just quantifiably wrong. Oh yeah, I remember you did that, and you said people were complaining about it. I never watched it at the time. I think I only watched it afterwards, but I remember you saying there was some fuss over it, and I was like, what was the problem? But that makes more sense now. Yeah, it was just some incorrect information. It was not intended to mislead. I was just like, yeah, I've had a lot of success with this build. What a great build. But you're out of touch. Exactly, right? There was no malice there. I'm just an old man. I've been playing Payday for a long time and came at it from the wrong angle. But I've actually learned probably more about the game and the meta and how things work with DSOD, the hardest difficulties, over this last sort of year or so playing the game. And there's some really good players. Like, Payday has always been a cooperative game for fun, but there's a real emerging scene of like virtually competitive Payday players, and I've learnt a lot from them. So that's been my sort of reintroduction back into the franchise as I try and get good.
I mean, yeah, you need to learn where you made your mistakes there, get back into the knowledge, figure out what had changed. But one thing that really blew you up was the story of Payday, because that got on everybody's radar. That was fantastic. How soon did that idea come to you about just revisiting the story? Was it just something you thought of in the moment, or?
I had promised people that I would be covering the story of Payday back in like 2015.
Really?
Like it was a long-term plan to cover the story of Payday. When the story of Payday was just, oh, Hoxton went to prison and now Hoxton's not in prison anymore, I was like, yeah, story. There's a narrative here. It's just not particularly well told, or it's not that it's not well told, it's that it's relatively hidden and requires a lot of reading between the lines. So back in the day, I made a video on Hector, on the rat. Yeah. And I also made like a background of Payday talking about the main characters. And I promised myself I'd revisit it. And then for like 5 years, I didn't. And then finally, I was like, guess it's time.
Yeah.
I started playing Payday the Heist as well. That was a big one. Like I hadn't played much Payday the Heist before. I'd only really touched it on console a little bit. I started playing that and actually really enjoying it. It's quite a different experience, believe it or not. I mean, I know you played it relatively recently on stream for the first time.
I haven't played it again since. It was a harrowing experience.
There's still value to Payday the Heist, despite the fact that all the games are in, all the heists are in Payday 2. And I played that. I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's start with this. I'll record some footage for it, and I didn't expect there to be so much interest as there was for the story of Payday, and I also didn't realize it was going to be like 4 hours long.
Yeah,
that was
in the end.
I think I worked out as I was going.
There's so many there. I'm still waiting for you to do the compilation video. That's just perfection waiting to happen. Just called it the complete saga, like it's a Lego game. Sorted, done.
Yeah.
Easy.
Well, I'm still enjoying. They are actually expanding quite well, I think, with the sort of intermittent stories prior to the White House. So I'll have the complete saga, and then I'll have the complete side stories. That's the hope before Payday 3 comes out, and then they just go totally somewhere different with the narrative, and the whole thing's useless. But
we'll always remember it. It's fine. I mean, they haven't even explained yet what's going on with the Dragon Heist, where exactly that's set. But I guess we'll get into that later.
Yeah, I'm excited for the new character whose name I'm not going to attempt to pronounce because I didn't practice it beforehand.
Gao Feng.
Gao Feng. It's Gao, right?
Yeah.
Not Jiu.
Jiu Feng. And I heard them say it on the Overkill thing. And I was like, oh dear. I was like, I've got that wrong.
But his voice acting work was amazing, and I'm like, it's a really interesting new contractor character. That could only be a good thing for the game, because we didn't really have that. Bullock was interesting enough, but it was still like focused around Locke and Vlad, and now we actually have a new character. Might be something a little bit interesting. I don't know whether you're aware, but because it's so. I know you were complaining that Bullock wasn't well set up, and he wasn't. But,
no, he wasn't. It was very badly set up. They said about there were loads of hints, but I don't think there were enough. I missed on all of the hints, so
it wasn't like the dentist, was it? It wasn't like, oh, we know who we're after. But there's actually another character called the Mistress, who is probably like an overarching villain or hero.
To be clear, you said the Mistress, yeah?
The Mistress.
So my Doctor Who nerd is freaking out right now because I'm thinking of Missy immediately.
She's probably Italian. Though
okay.
It's not guaranteed.
Not Scottish, damn it. Alright.
No, sorry about that.
Michelle Gomez just turns up in Payday 2. That would be very interesting.
Yeah. So there's more story there, probably.
Yeah, no doubt.
Than a lot of people realise. So I actually do think this intermittent saga could be great, and I hope it runs all the way up until Payday 3, and I'd actually be surprised if it didn't. Because why not keep the interest and the intrigue, unless they do want to go somewhere completely different with Payday 3?
I mean, now they've confirmed it'll come out in 2023. They'll probably do another campaign after this one. I think they'll probably do this year campaign, probably do one more, and then see where it lines up with Payday 3. Why are we doing all the theories yet? We're not meant to be doing that yet.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
When we talk about the story,
I'm trying to stay focused. Come on, man, you got to get this right. What are you doing? No,
Did you know
What was funny about the story thing, though, to be fair, was that was my first sighting of you, because I had no idea until you told me that you'd done all these videos, and like, even when the game had first come out, I had no idea. You weren't relevant enough to me.
Wow.
No, I saw the first story video and like, wow, this guy's done something cool here, and didn't look into. I don't like I said, I didn't watch it when it first came out. I think it was because I'd already seen the other one, that History of Payday was like trending.
That's a good video.
Yeah, I've not watched that. To be fair, I've seen yours, but not watched that one. I think, did I watch all of yours in the end? I think I might still have 1 or 2 left to do. I can't remember.
Really hurt.
Oh, shut up! Like, you've watched all my videos.
Big Redcast fan over here. So yeah, there were actually other really good story videos. They're less. What I did was try and I developed this over the course of it. I tried to tell it like a narrative.
Yeah.
As opposed to this is what happened, then this happened, then this happened. I've tried to tell it from more of like an audiobook style, I guess.
Yeah, that's much a better way of doing it. I agree on that one.
But the other videos on the topic not only tell a story, they go through like the update history, and that's interesting too.
Yeah.
So still strongly recommend other people's videos, not mine. No, also watch mine, but
I appreciate that.
There's a lot of good content.
It's a nice attempt.
Yeah,
I like it.
I hadn't been making a lot of videos when you started making a lot of videos. That was first of all when I was in Japan, and then when I first moved to Norway. Yeah, I've been all over the place, and so that was when I was making the fewest videos and the smallest impression. And actually, I was down over about 5,000 subscribers from my peak when I came back. That's how much I decayed.
And then look at you now. I mean, what were you at when you came back? You weren't at 30k, were you? Were you just under 30k?
I had been over 30k, but I was on about 26, coming up to 27. So it was a real story-driven growth in the end.
And now, have you hit 60k yet? It would be pretty cool if you hit it on the recording. How close are you?
Like tomorrow, we're like 50 off somewhere.
Oh god! So by the time this comes out, it will be at 60k. Unless everyone watching now on subs, and then you go back under again.
Don't give them ideas.
You all know what to do, listeners. Thank you. That's it now. I've set the movement. It's not a
competition, Troy.
I've set the movement. If it was a competition, I'd have lost a long time ago. What do you mean? I still have less than when you had when you came back. That's not a worry you should have.
Maybe we should like cumulatively apply for a YouTube sub button. Just say like, yeah, this is our cumulative.
And then I'll have it.
Well, you can have half of it.
I'll have a quarter of it. Give me the logo. I'll just cut the YouTube thing out and send it to me, and then you have the frame bit.
All right, well, but speaking of that, I think there's about 4 Payday YouTubers now, 4 or 5 who've hit that target, the 100k goal.
Which one? So we got Jen and we got Mortifer. Who are the other ones you're thinking of?
Has B not also?
B passed 100 recently, didn't he? I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I could be wrong, but I don't know whether Arrow Key Gaming way back in the day did.
Oh god, that's making me feel old already when you said that. Jeez.
Yeah. Because he was the first like really fast growing channel, and then other channels that are no longer associated but did. So yeah, Paydays, it's a rich environment on YouTube.
It is a rich environment,
and multinational.
Yeah, it's done quite well, and you mean they're still adding new like languages now to the game to try and
the
make
Korean
it more
support's big.
Yeah, Korean support was a big one. It was good to see they added that in the update. But yeah, I think it's been very interesting, and because you've done so well from the sub growth, it's been really cool to just see like the way you've shot up. And I don't know whether that's all presumably, well, at least partially will be down to Story of Payday. But I mean, you've done so many other videos that have like done very well. So you certainly had a very good kind of like come back into the fray.
When I came back, I tried to find things that were not being done or hadn't been done in a long time, needed updating, or were just like a little bit out there, looking through the secrets that no one had talked about, or approaching things like Team AI setups and stuff like that. No one had really done the research, and I spent so much time messing around with statistics and stuff. I was like, oh, here we go. Let's do some Payday statistics. Let's try and apply some research to the game. And those videos, they're a bit different. One of the first videos that took off was how does threat work? Because who knows?
Yeah,
It's
I don't
one
think any of
those
us really knew
mechanics
properly.
that isn't well explained in game, and you see cops ducking down and rolling out the way, and you're like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Well, there is actually a reason for it. Like, there's a lot of very well hidden mechanics in the game that are really interesting. Auto hit's another one that just, if you're bad and you miss a lot, eventually Payday will do you a favor and let your shots land. So yeah, I did a lot of research on things like that people didn't know about or were interested in, but the information's hard to find, and that's where a lot of the interest, I think, came from.
Yeah, it's good. It's definitely a good idea to try and explore some things that have not been talked about or update things. Definitely. I remember seeing you do the console build in 2020, and I was like, "This is my territory. Get lost." And now it's nobody's territory because it's console is. Yeah,
people had asked for it. To be fair, but,
people will not stop asking me about console stuff. But I'm like, what do you want me to do? Like, the sad thing is now we're now at the longest period of time without a content update on consoles on this generation, because it was like 430 or 460 something days between Crime of Edition coming out and getting the big score update. We've now passed that length of time between the last update at the end of 2019, which is just
the worst wait, by the way. That was horrific. Far the worst wait.
That was
the
bad.
game did receive updates, right? It did.
Console did better than
somewhat.
people, I think, forget. I think people forget. I know it's like still a really bad situation. They didn't get everything updated, but I think people forget quite how much better console was on that generation than previously. Because it did get almost all of the paid DLC pre-Silk Road. The only paid thing it was missing was H3H3, which to most people, they might go, well, we've had all the paid DLC then. Or the one that's important. You do get some people that like H3H3. I had one person that commented on, I think it was the tweet about the tier list video I just did, being like, H3H3 aren't in S tier, they're my favourite heisters, and their profile picture was H3H3 in Payday 2, and I was like, we found one in the wild, boys. We found a H3H3 Payday fan.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't personally agree. Oh, I'm so happy to see Jimmy in S, by the way. Good shout. Sholto all the way.
Yeah. If you get him on the show, I swear down, honestly. Need to try and get in contact with him, but it's not a very easy thing.
That's something I actually wanted to ask you, coming onto your podcast. And
go on, I'm listening. What have you got?
This is bad. It's about, and again, this is Payday 3 speculation, returning characters.
Oh.
I wanted to, and now I know, I think I've mentioned this before, I don't think you've played the Borderlands series a lot before.
No.
But if I just quickly run you through, basically the first game, you play as 4 characters. And then in the second game, those 4 characters are still, they come back, but they're all NPCs.
Right.
Do you think that's the direction we're going to go in? And my greatest fear would be characters returning as DLCs. DLC characters coming back as DLCs in the next game. I'm not down for that. Unless it's Jimmy.
If it's someone I like, I'll make an exception. If it's not, I don't know. I'm planning on doing a video soon talking about characters coming back. I know other people have done it, but I've talked about it occasionally in videos before, so I'll probably go into more detail on that. But I think, I don't know, I think the idea of the NPC characters is something interesting. It depends whether they want to go for a create your own character kind of thing, because
I've seen people suggest
that. Black Ops Cold War's done that in a way in its campaign, where you have your own kind of character, and then people you've played as or seen in the characters in other campaigns interact with you. That's kind of like a similar thing. I think it's possible. I think it's entirely possible, and it would help explain why not many people have been able to identify the person on the far left of that Payday 3 art, because there's very varying opinions. I know some people reckon the guy on the far right is Houston. It's not. It's Josh Len. I stand by that. I think.
I'm a Houston camp.
Yeah, well, I think it looks like Josh Len. That's just.
I think I agree. And
the
pose,
nose, yeah.
The pose is so Hoxton as well. No, it's the nose. I went and I did some silhouette.
It was like an Endgame when someone was like, that isn't actually Tony Stark holding that photo, it's a different hand, and it actually was Tony Stark holding it, so you could tell people were getting desperate in the lead up to that film. That was so funny.
So I did some, photo analysis, and specifically the nose is much more like Houston's nose in Payday 2.
Or maybe the artist just doesn't like Josh Len.
It's possible. It's possible. I do feel like it's a very, very Hoxton pose. But I wouldn't be surprised if the 4 that people have mentioned are pretty much guaranteed returners. Like, Dallas. I nearly said Wolf. Oof. Chains, Hoxton, Houston. Or Houston, as I call him.
Houston.
I got a lot of flack on that one. It was a story. I called him Houston.
Oh. It's like whenever I've tried to pronounce
the
the names. Like when I tried to pronounce Tobias' name the first time.
Oh.
I can't remember. I think I said her. No, what did I say? I think I said Sjogren. But I was thinking that the J was like a Y. And I was thinking, oh, that's Swedish. That'll sound right. And then just didn't look it up. And then one of my mods is Swedish, and he was like, "You did not. That was terrible." And I was like,
yeah.
Oh. So then I went to Google, and it was like, whatever it said, which wasn't even the same thing again. It was something completely different. It was more similar to mine than the actual pronunciation. So I made sure when I spoke to him, I was like, right, first things first. Literally the first thing I asked him, because it was the gag at the start, but it was literally the first thing I asked him. I was like, right, how do I say your surname? Let me get this right now. And you could tell from his look, he was like, oh, here we go. Saw this coming. It was just...
and then he pronounces it, and it's like, yes, I cannot replicate that. Thank you.
I think it was Ögren, I think it was.
Ögren, yeah.
But like, when I watched the investor call for Payday 3 on Friday, someone introduced him, and they said it differently to how he said it, and I'm like, are you getting it wrong, or was I mishearing, or like, what's... Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
There's definitely a rolled R in there. That's just a very Scandinavian thing, and I can't do it, so... I just swallow.
So it's the guy spending a lot of time in Norway.
Yeah, I can't do it. I can't roll my R's. I'm tongue tied. I'm sorry.
You gotta learn. You've got to learn, man. If you're gonna live in their country, you gotta learn. You can't be the outsider.
They'll never understand me. They'll never understand me.
Well, we can talk a bit more about Payday 3 in a little bit. What I want to focus on now for a little bit is talk about where we think Payday 2 is going, because obviously the idea for the game was originally for it to end with the White House, and that was going to be it. It was going to development was going to fade out. I mean, I think the last thing they properly did in Payday 2 after the White House was changing Locke's face as a quality of life change, and that was probably like the last thing they did. They were like, "Hey, do you want Locke to look like Ian Russell?" And I think the vote was like 16-1, yes, or something. It was something ridiculous, that margin. Everyone was like, "Yes, change him." But that was, I think, the last big thing they did, unless they did something for Payday's birthday in 2019. They may have done.
They released some nice artwork, if I remember.
Oh yeah, I think that was it, wasn't it? Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, that was the dark days.
Yeah, the very quiet days. But I still had console at that point, so I was still trying to do stuff for that, because by that point, the last console update was approaching that year, so I was still doing speculation stuff for that. And then I only got my laptop now that I've been using in like July 2019, so I tried out Payday 2 on PC and went, okay, that was a fun one-time thing. And then Overkill reached out to me when the campaign was kicking off again. They were like, hey, you want to do some PC stuff? I was like, sure. I mean, I've not got anything else to do. Let's do it. Let's go for it. I had the laptop. It was very fortunate. But yeah, point I want to get into is what have been your thoughts so far on first Silk Road and then now going to City of Gold, and what are you hoping to see for the future? This is probably going to be a very loaded debate now, but there's our firing question.
I mean, Payday 2 should still probably be our main focus for now, right? This is the game that's still getting a lot of content, and I think the content is improving.
Mm-hmm.
I would love there to be some real progression in the story. We're moving sideways a lot, and it's a little bit of a stretch to believe that all of this was occurring in the week before.
Yeah.
Or just when one team goes to rescue Bane, the rest are like, all right, we're off.
Yeah.
See you later. I'm going to San Francisco, or I'm off to Mexico. But there is a bit of a gap from a lore perspective in that how did the dentist lose so easily? And so that's what they're trying to build up. So they have a narrative going. I just hope that it's more content like Bullock or Dragon, and not so much like the initial one, which was Border Crossing. And I really hope that didn't put people off, because Border Crossing was very much testing the waters. And I think they really grow into the Silk Road campaign, and I think the whole idea behind the Silk Road campaign it expanded over the course of it.
Yeah.
And starting off with City of Gold, it's been pretty much more of the same. The content is actually getting better, in my opinion, better than a lot of the DLC content, more value for money. But it's still probably not what a lot of people want to see. And I would love a free heist. I think that would be such a...
Ooh.
It would be such a throwing down the gauntlet. Give us a free heist. No, I think it would be such a show of faith. I mean, I think one big show of faith is that they are, or something that we should believe in Overkill for, is that they're willing to do balance changes, because that doesn't make any money, right? So that was the first step of like, yes, that's good to see. But so many people longing for the days of like 2017, 2018, where there was paid DLC, but then occasionally we'd get a little something. Just pick a holiday, for example, would be my where I'd love to see content go over the next year, assuming the DLCs are selling well and it's being well received. And so far, I think that's been the case. I mean, I haven't actually finished my review video of the Dragon Heist, but it's really good. They've got some good new ideas, and I would say a lot of these ideas are probably a little bit of brainstorming for Payday 3, and go for it. Go wild with Payday 2. Be as inventive as you possibly can within the limits of Diesel. These, let's be honest, are not coming to console at least anytime soon, so we don't have to worry about technical limitations. So go for it. And yeah, the setting's good. I know we disagree on this one. I'd love to see us go somewhere outside the US, but you say save that for Payday 3.
Yeah, we'll get there. I think we're very much clashing on that one.
I think it would be juicy. Take us to Japan. People want it.
Yeah, I think they could possibly go to Japan now with this campaign, but I'm hesitant for them to go anywhere else because I think the worldwide approach is something they could really, really hone in on Payday 3. Each mission could be in a different country or a different place. I think it'd be great.
Obviously the screenshot was in New York, but who knows? That's what I said. It doesn't mean it's going to be set in New York.
They might just be on holiday. Oh, I don't know. But yeah, with Border Crossing, I still believe, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, I still believe the criticism it got was definitely more than it deserved, only because what did people really expect? I think it mainly boils down to the fact that I think a lot of people didn't properly grasp the financial situation at the time. I don't think a lot of people followed it as much as perhaps you or I did, especially me when I was doing all the videos on like all of Starbreeze's debts, because every time there was an update I was doing a video on it, so I was very much in tune with where they were up to. So for me, like, I knew they were going into this still in millions and millions of dollars of debt, not really able to keep the lights on at all, and they're like, hey, let's make a heist. So everyone was like, they're reusing assets. It's like, they can't afford to use the reused ones even. Just let them get on with what they've got. The heist itself, I will agree, is easily the weakest one they've done. It's
uninspired.
It's uninspired. It's by no means a solid, strong heist. There are some people who've argued that it's better because of the stealth. Someone said in the tier list video that, or in one of the videos recently, I can't remember what it was, but someone commented they think the order of the heist was like Bullock, then Border Crossing, and then the other three were placed underneath it. And I was like, that's an interesting order. I've not seen anyone do that before. But I don't know. I think mainly that the heist is a very solid kind of like, it's one of those middling heists that might have come out in like 2016, 2015, 2016, where it's like, hey, here's one of the ones that aren't quite as good. It's, quite safe, but bringing it out then as Payday 2's grand return made it look worse because they were coming back with a very, very middling heist that was quite safe and not really, as you said, it wasn't very inspired. So I think it didn't deserve as much the hate it got, but it definitely wasn't a great heist. I think it
is worth mentioning that was the heist that like followed the White House. Right,
and then there's that.
Night
then
and
that,
day.
yeah.
And it isn't necessarily people's like prerogative to keep up with Overkill's situation. They can judge the content as it is. But I hope people stuck with it, whether they bought that first one or not. And like the Taylor pack and stuff was a great idea.
Yeah, I think the best stuff they did in that DLC was the stuff that wasn't the heist. The Taylor system has been fantastic.
Proof of concept, probably.
Yeah,
but it's they've really expanded since then, and there's purpose to it. I get a lot of comments about people saying they're just filling the gap, but that's kind of how it has to go from a narrative point of view. But I've really enjoyed them as their own little separate campaigns, and it's not like the quality of the voice work or the map design has suffered in any way. In fact, it makes me quite excited to see what they go for with future things. The thing I really want to see expanded upon is like objectives. If you think about it, Payday is a time management game, right?
It is.
You manage your time between shooting people and pressing F on the keyboard to do things. or X on your Xbox controller.
RB
right?
for us.
RB, yeah. X is reload.
Yes, it is.
Who uses a controller, Troy?
See, he's a console player. He's a console player. He knows. I hope I'm pointing in the right direction. I've no idea which way the camera's going to be when I edit this. I'll make sure that I'm pointing in the right direction when I put this in post. But yeah,
so it's it's difficult to be overly critical of it when I think they are they're expanding upon concepts and ideas, and that's where it needs to improve, I think, as a game, or maybe also the storytelling and like the RPG elements. But if they can get really interesting objectives and things like that, then it's not just going to be a case of, oh, this is a frustrating thing to do in between shooting cops. What I've really enjoyed is the puzzles. I watched you get really frustrated by it on stream, but the puzzle on the Dragon Heist.
Oh no, yeah, that was
stuff.
Oh god. The only reason I was getting irritated was because I was like, hey, I can actually make the solo stealth video on the day. I've never done that before. It's always been really late afterwards. I never uploaded the Border Crossing one because I've still never beaten it. But I was like, I really want to do it on the day. I think that would be great. And because I knew it was getting late and I knew I wasn't going to be streaming for ages long, I was like, please, I know it's a puzzle. Please tell me how to solve it because I just don't know. But when I cracked it, I was like, this is good. I really liked it. The puzzle in the Dragon Heist is really quite strong. It's like, it feels like a proper, once you know, it's very simple, but like cracking it was, because it was so cryptic. 4 codes change every 15 minutes. I was like, what, in the heist? Like, if I don't do it in 15 minutes, I was like, what?
That was my first thought, was do I look at my game clock? And then I found the things I could interact with, and I saw the clock on the wall, and it was like, yeah, you know what, that's, and to like expand upon that. I recently tweeted out something about like, Big Oil was like the proof of concept of this.
Yeah.
And Big Oil was not well executed, really. It was convoluted, and so they moved away from that, and it's very much just a shooter since then. Objectives are a case of pressing F on things, and they're a forced distraction to make you shoot at people. But the more they can expand on really interesting objectives and puzzle elements, the better. And at certain times, maybe the idea of cooperation within that. I know it makes it a harder game to play as a solo heister, which maybe isn't ideal if you're me and you just record solo gameplay all the time.
Same, yeah.
But like Bullock's Mansion,
I was going to say,
I
that
imagine
was great.
designed as a co-op puzzle more than anything else. Find the symbols, get someone set up in the boardroom, get someone up by the door, tell them which ones to do. 3-way interaction, and then you get in. I think that's good, and the more they can expand upon that, the better. And that's something we've seen so far. In terms of my future predictions, I think there might be one more campaign than you're thinking. So I think we'll have this one.
Oh yeah, so we said as a thing before we started recording that we were thinking that there'd be... Did we say it before we were recording, or was it during the recording? I forget now.
You just mentioned that you thought there'd be this campaign and then a 2022 campain.
Did I? I thought that was before we started recording. We were talking for like 45 minutes before this, so like, it's not always going to be... there was some setup going on, and a lot of chatting garbage, mainly from me.
Yeah, well. And then I think there'll be one in 2023 as well, because I think Payday 3 will come out Q3, Q4.
Well, I tweeted, let's get one of my tweets in, I think it'd be really, really good if they drop it on the 13th of August 2023, exactly 10 years after Payday 2 came out. That'd be a pretty cool, like, poetic little thing, and I wonder if that's what they're thinking behind the scenes.
I don't know how well that aligns, and maybe the game now is more of a closer to Christmas release. Now it's a much more popular game.
Yeah.
Maybe that would be a smarter move, but I do like the poetic elements of the 13th of August release. That's been my guess as well, but I'm clueless. But it really is, in my opinion, in their best interest to keep Payday 2 going as close to the release of that game as they possibly can, even if it means more splitting of resources. But they're still hiring more people, so, and it's lean hiring, I would say. They're mainly hiring people to work on the game. They're not hiring me to talk about the financials of the situations as much as I'd like them to.
Yeah,
they're hiring developers basically. So
we've been teething at it. Let's go into Payday 3. Let's talk some theories about it. We've been nagging at it for a little bit. I do think with the release date, like I was saying, I think that's something that Call of Duty has definitely cashed on in over the years of releasing in October, November, and then counting on Christmas sales to really give it a boost. Because, like, even amongst the community, you get, the Christmas noobs are going to be coming in now, get ready for this. And I was one of them when I got Advanced Warfare, because that was the first one I
can't believe Advanced Warfare was your first COD.
It wasn't my first COD per se, it was the first one that was the current COD. Like, because I played, like, the Modern Warfare, Modern Warfare 2 and 3, I'd played the full campaigns of, and done some Spec Ops. I played a bit of Black Ops 2 privately, because I didn't have internet at the time, or, like, working one from Xbox. But, like, the first one I got and played online with, like, full internet and stuff was Advanced Warfare. And I don't regret that. I think that's still one of my faves. I'm very much in a niche camp on that, but I adore that game, and I really wish it was still like had even just a small player base now. Because I always used to be able to go back into the game and play a TDM at any point. There'd always be one match. And then I tried again a couple of weeks ago on 2 separate days, and there were no matches, and it broke me a little bit inside. I was like, wow, it really has reached that point. But it's been out for however many years now, like 6.5 years. It's about as old as my channel is, so it's
right.
Reached a point where it was
Advanced Warfare was I played it on PC and it's too hard for my brain.
I found I was the best at that one than any other COD. I was really good with the exo movement. Like gun
difficult.
game, I was like top tier at. I was really good at gun game. I loved it in that game.
It was a very twitchy, difficult to play game, Advanced Warfare, and I think a lot of us are just too bad at it to enjoy it.
I think one thing I also thought was quite special is it was the last Call of Duty game where you could one-hit melee people. Ever since then, it's been like, hey, 2 hits. Like, that's just something as a COD player that really annoys me. No, that really irritates me. Like, being like, if you're in a close fight. Yeah, panic knifing is something you rely on if you're doing a good, if you're on a good streak. Not as a constant behavior, not as like one of those people in gun game that runs around and does that. But like, if you're in the middle of a fight and you're on like a 20 kill streak, you don't want someone shooting you up close because you couldn't reload in time, and if you melee, you have to hit them twice. It's like, I loved that and I missed that. That's just me.
I come from an era of Commando in Modern Warfare 2 where people would launch at you from across the map and with a knife, and there's
I don't have that.
Too many bad memories.
There you go. Anyway,
I've always been a Black Ops boy. Anyway, just for reference, always been Black Ops. But Cold War, I've not been able to keep up with it. I don't know.
I've played some of the campaign. I haven't finished it yet, but I've been enjoying it. I think it's been quite good. I think it's probably one of the best Call of Duties we've had in recent years. Just for the zombies alone, I think it's fantastic.
The zombies were really good. I was impressed by that, but didn't enjoy everything else as much. Anyway, Payday.
But yeah, Payday. Yeah, we were talking about Payday. What's Payday? No, that was the point I was trying to make. Was that I remember being one of the Christmas people with Advanced Warfare. I came into it when it was at Christmas, and there were a lot of other people who did the same, and then every Call of Duty since always got it roughly at launch, and then you'd get an influx of like new people at Christmas. It's a good strategy, and it works for that game, and it's feasible to say that Payday 3 could have that similar route, and it would work, because I think it would. I think it'd be quite strong. But I think, the later they release it as well, the more time they've got on the game. You've also got that as well.
We're seeing this as basically a AAA release at this point.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, Payday 2 was not. Payday 2 did some ridiculous things. Like, it made back its costs prior to launch.
Yeah, that was
clearly
fantastic.
A game with momentum behind it. Made on a budget, but really exciting concepts. People loved it. Payday 3 is releasing into a very different market at a very different level of interest, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on. But at the same time, it does mean that like they can release it against the big boys, and it'll still do very well. Exactly. They don't have to try and slide it in. So maybe roughly a Christmas sort of launch for 2023. Or I put out a poll on YouTube. Most people think it's going to get delayed till 2022. It's like over 50%.
Yeah, it's entirely possible it'll get delayed till 24. I can see that coming.
Sorry, 24. Yeah, not 22.
Yeah, just the
suddenly came out in 22.
Oh, imagine it would be great. I think I do think that's possible. And I did think originally when they said 2022 to 2023, I was like, it will definitely be 2023 at the earliest. It won't be 22. And I was like, it might get delayed. Now they've said 2023. I'm hoping they've said that with a bit more confidence, because they didn't have to say that when they confirmed the publisher. They could have quite easily said they're publishing, still releasing in that window, more news soon. But they did make the effort to say it's now 2023. So I have some confidence that they will try and stick to that now. I don't think it'll be like Rockstar with like Red Dead 2 is coming out in like 2017. Well, they delayed it like 3 times or something, didn't they? I think they've done that with a lot of their past games, but they go like, hey, it's coming out now. Hey, it's coming out in like 6 months later. Hey, it's coming out 6 months later, but it's definitely coming out this time, we promise.
Yeah.
Like those games just get irritating when they delay it. But
there's more acceptance because I'd rather the game came out well. Payday 2 was just abhorrent on launch. it had a lot of issues. So, I'd rather a cleaner game came out, but people do also underestimate how long the game's been in development. This has been, now, by no stretch of the imagination do I think the 2016 version and the 2021 version of Payday 3 look anything alike, but it has been in the theoretical work since 2016, I believe. So yeah, it's not a new idea that, oh my god, Payday 3 is coming out. It's been coming. We've known for apparently a lot longer than everyone else, just by following the Overkill channels.
Yeah, when they had the 100,000 followers. I mean, I said it when I did my Everything We Know About Payday 3 video. It was like the reaction of every like media source picking up the game and announcing it was, you know, coming. I was like, did nobody like think to follow the news? Like, they've mentioned this before, just not on a grand scale. They have said Payday 3 is coming. Like, at one point, I think they literally just tweeted out Payday 3 and went, we just want to see what you want from the game. Like, it's confirmed it's coming. That was like a year or two before this big thing. But everyone just went, Payday 3, what? When was this a thing? What? And it's like, what? Were you not? Huh?
They've been teasing the death of Diesel for ages as well.
Thank God.
I'm pretty sure Andreas tweeted something out about that years ago. So we've known it was coming, and it was more like the version we know is in development, and actually might be a little bit further through than people are realizing. So,
well, it's been in development properly since October 2019, so they've definitely got a solid chunk of something there, without a doubt. I think I don't know how many people were working at Overkill at the time when they made Payday 2, when they developed it. I don't think there were a lot of people. I think Overkill definitely grew as a result of Payday 2's launch. We might have similar numbers. I have no idea. We might have more now working on Payday 3, but
we do, I believe.
There you go.
I'm almost positive.
They've got to be. I think there was like 40, 50 devs working on it last year in like a investor thing. Now they're hiring loads more. You could be probably at about 100 devs at this point. It wouldn't surprise me.
I think we were closer to 30 with Payday 2, I believe.
Well,
could be wrong.
With Payday 2, I mean, that was like, if there were 30 devs saying that's in 2 years, compare that now to we've had a year and a half with 50 upwards devs. You're already looking at a bigger scale game. I mean, they can't launch with something at Payday 2 size. I've said this before. I said it to Tobias, but it was like, when that game first launched, if you look at it compared to how it is now, it's like that was like an alpha build. There's nothing almost in the game that's in here now. There's so much more in this game. Someone could probably do the maths, at least on the heists alone, and be like, what percentage of the heists in the game now are actually available at core launch? It's got to be something like 10% or under. It might even be single digits at this point, because they released like, how many heists were there at launch? There were like about 10, maybe? I can't remember.
I think there was about 12 or something like that. There was around about the same amount as there was in Payday the Heist, but Payday the Heist had very long heists compared to a lot of the ones in Payday 2. And they were going with the day system, which they've moved away from over time. The multi-day, and the question back in like 2013, 2014 was, when are we getting a 7-day heist?
Yep.
Which would have been a nightmare, by the way. No one would have liked that.
That would have crashed like on day 4 or 5. Like, there's no way it would have worked. It would be great, and it'd be nice if they did like a big long heist in Payday 3 on a more stable engine that could handle that. But like on Payday 2, as cool as it sounds, you'd have crashed. Like, you get somebody crash on like day 1s and then day 2s, and then when you get into day 3, it's like, wow, the game's been stable for a bit. And like, you'd like finish like a rat's heist, and as you're about to leave, it crashes. You'd be like, oh, sweet God. And then if you add day 4, 5, 6, 7 in, it would never hold. Especially with how big the game is now, the amount of optimization that is lacking in some places. People go on about the safe house on console, and it's like, well, is it really that well optimized on PC? I mean, I don't know. If it's not really doing well on PC, console is going to be Lego Worlds or something. It's just not.
I mean, at least it's there.
Yeah, it is there. It's there, but
that would be nice. I'll take Lego Worlds. I'm sure console fans are saying.
Yeah, true. Oh, I don't know.
I think that Payday 3 has a lot of responsibility to not make those same errors
with consoles,
and have to be
those comments
to be built up, or with consoles too. I'm taking that for granted somewhat, because that's not an option.
Yeah,
not at all. But I just mean in terms of release content, and have you thought about the game releasing as a completely different sort of game? Obviously, a bank robbing game with gunfighting, but like, what if we don't follow a data heist system at all? What if it's not mission based?
What are you thinking then? Like a linear story or something?
No, I think a linear story would be a bad move.
Yeah, because I was going to say that wouldn't work. That'd be too GTA-ish, I think.
Yeah,
you got to be more unique.
A semi-open sort of world, a hub world, where you can meet other players and go towards different sort of missions, but they're all a little bit different. I'm sure that they'll go with randomization. That's like one of their core ideas with Payday too. It's one of the reasons why the game's so replayable. I'm sure we'll keep that in one way or another, but I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't quite mission based as what we have here with like the whole crime net system. I wouldn't be surprised if we tried to move to something a little more modern, I guess. What exactly that would be, don't ask me, and it might be too difficult to pull off.
It might
but
be.
I wouldn't be surprised if the game didn't look exactly the same.
Maybe there'd be some social spaces then, from what you're thinking. Maybe like Destiny's Tower or whatever. There could be something like that as a hub world. I'm not sure how well that would work. I know it's a different thing. When Call of Duty World War II tried that was just. It was a nice idea, but I was like, it wasn't necessary in that game. In Payday 3,
showcase.
It was like, hey, look, we've done something that's like Destiny. You guys like Destiny? There's something like Destiny in this game. And World War II was just not a good one for me. I was not a big fan of it. And now there's going to be a sequel to it. Great.
It's this idea of living your heisting fantasy, which I always see. I always see, like, what does that mean? And that's sort of the idea I have behind it. I always think that the updated safe house was designed to be a proper sort of hub where you'd hang out and like plan a heist and talk about it. That's what they wanted it to be. And so maybe that on a grander scale is my sort of base idea for what they'd like to do with Payday 3. But maybe keep the missions and the randomization elements. That would be fine. And contracts and contractors and things like that. But maybe we'll just see massive wholesale innovation and people will hate it.
Maybe. There's always that worry, isn't it, that when the game comes out, everyone's just going to go, yeah, this is awful, I'm sticking to Payday 2, and then Overkill are basically, like, if Payday 3 flops, they're done. There's no redemption this time. All of their chips are on black when it comes to Payday 3. They are fully committed to that, so they've got to make sure it works, and I think consoles are such a big part of it as well. I think now there's already such distrust from the console community, which I can't blame them for. I think I've always been more of an optimistic person, so I'm trying to look at the good side constantly and trying to explain, like, at the end of the day, if I really hope, and I believe in my heart of hearts, and I do hope, if they thought they were going to have the same problem with consoles again this time, they wouldn't have confirmed them. I feel like if they really, really, in their heart of hearts, knowing the amount of stuff they've caused with console players, the amount of aggro and anger and like lashback they've had on even Xbox 360 and PS3, but mainly most recently with how slow updates became and how things have just completely just fizzled out now, like, they wouldn't do it because they'd just be setting themselves up for just a lot of hatred and a lot of potential boycotting and stuff. I mean, even PC players could get on board if they wanted to at that point, and you'd end up with something really serious in your hands. But they've said repeatedly that it is coming to Steam or Epic Games, as well as Xbox and PlayStation. So, like, they're making that specific point constantly in the investor presentations, in the recent news announcement, on their website, talking about like future releases. They know they're doing the console versions, and I think with Unreal, it should be a lot better. That's an engine where you could build it on any platform, and it would translate hopefully quite well to any other. Like, they could build it up, design it with an Xbox Series X in mind, and then translate it to PC and PlayStation, and it would be the same game, hopefully. So I'm hoping now that they get it right, and they make sure when they release content, they don't put gaps. Because if at any point they go to the point where they go, hey, here's a new Heist coming out today on PC and next week on consoles, that's the point where you go, this is the start of it trailing off again, so they can't do that. Which is why I've said crossplay I think would be a good idea. Because I think if you've got a server, I don't know whether they'll do it. I think it's probably a bit of a pipe dream thing. But, like, if you set it up in such a way where there was a shared server across all platforms, when you update the game, you're updating it for everyone who can access it, which is on all platforms. It forces them to stay in, constantly updating it for the entire game. And also makes it better because I can play on an Xbox and talk to you or anyone else. Because if I get the choice, I'll buy it on an Xbox. I won't buy it on a PC. That's just a fact.
Crossplay would be one of the best possibilities
be
because, as you say, it basically locks them into that sort of update schedule. I mean, you'd hope it wouldn't hurt the PC upload schedule and that just content would be coming out at the same rate, just on all consoles. And the ideal situation would be the game's a great success at launch, the development team expands, and then we don't have any problems. I do see some people talking about the games as a service model. It's a bit of a scary phrase, I think, because of how it's used corporately.
Yeah.
A lot of games that have received a ton of backlash over the last few years have been games as a service model. You don't get a complete experience on launch. But I mean, Payday 2 was definitely not a complete experience on launch.
No, it wasn't. That was a shell of a game.
Yeah. So there are fears that we'll see the same sort of thing, and that would be terrible.
Yeah.
But this games as a service model isn't as predatory as you might associate it with. It doesn't mean loot boxes or battle passes. Now, they haven't been put out of the question, but I think it's more so about rolling content.
Mm.
And in my opinion, there will be season passes and DLCs.
Yeah, I
that
think
works so well with
yeah.
Payday 2. People don't necessarily like that, but the space has evolved so much that I actually think that's like the best form of games as a service at this point.
They could do it like Siege, where it's like a year one pass, and then whenever like DLC comes out, you've got access to it if you've bought the pass, or you can buy things individually if you want. Like, that's not a bad model if you're into a game. I wasn't as into Siege enough to buy all of those, but like, that's not a bad model. And there are ways you can do it that are tasteful. I think really the best thing is when you do it like cosmetic changes. As long as the things you're adding that are to try and generate money, if they are through microtransactions or whatever, as long as they don't change the core mechanics of the game, then the player is able to completely ignore them. And I think that's the best case scenario.
Yeah. It would be nice if most cosmetics are obtainable either for free in the game or directly obtainable. Because the problem right now comes with loot boxes and gambling and not always having access to what you want within a set of things you can possibly unlock.
Yeah.
I mean, Payday has that with the card system. They have the randomization. That's fun, but that's only fun when it's free, right?
Yeah, if you put money, you couldn't put money behind that. That wouldn't get approved anymore now. That'd be marked as gambling. That'd be dumb.
But I would like them to expand on these Payday 2 systems and the cosmetics and stuff. It's a big part of the game. Of course it is. It's a multiplayer game with a big sort of identity to it. You know, characters and masks. There's a lot of scope for that. But it has to be done the right way. And we don't know at all what way it's going to be done. There's some scary words being thrown around, but I think it's just corporate language. It doesn't mean anything at this point. You don't need to panic that there's going to be loads of microtransactions and the possibility of pay to win. That was one of the big problems in 2015 as well. That's, fool me once. Exactly. That's sort of the attitude I would have with it. I don't expect them to make any mistakes like that, and they can hire me to help with their financials, and that'd be great.
I think you're angling for something here. I'm not too sure what it is, but
just any job would do, honestly.
Oh god, imagine. Oh, but yeah, I think mainly that's because that's what I thought immediately when they announced it. I thought it's just the same model as Payday 2. A lot of people have suddenly tried to arise like these ideas that it means something like. I mean, I don't even think Avengers is a good example of it, because that game, while it has flopped, I think it's flopped for different reasons. I think my main issue with that game is just it's not getting enough content frequently. I think the game is solid. The campaign is fantastic, despite what anyone else says. Like, that enough is probably worth the base price. But, like, they announced new characters, and I remember they announced Black Panther last week, and I was like, wow, he looks really good. And they went, coming later in 2021. And I'm like, you can't have it be that much time between them, because then people are going to lose interest. And it's the constant thing. When an update comes out for that game, I'll play it for like a week, love it, and then I won't touch it for 3 months, because it's like, what am I meant to do? Like, that's their issue with that. But Payday 3 will hopefully not have that issue, because like back in the day when they were adding loads of content, it was, a heist 1 month, a weapon pack the next, character the next, a heist the next, and they blend it together, and it was really good. And I'm hoping that's what they're doing now with this current campaign in Payday 2 with City of Gold. Because I noticed that the way they split things up and tried to spread it out, I think it's good for you and me, because we get to make more content more frequently, which is good. But it's also better value for money. And I said in my videos, I think what they've done now with the Galfung Smuggler pack and with the Dragon Heist pack, they're doing it more like they used to do it with Payday 2 content, where when you bought a DLC pack, it would have a heist, but it'd also have like a gun or something in with it, to make it worth the price. They're combining these DLCs to make them worth more value for money, and it does seem very reminiscent of the old days. And if they kept that model up in Payday 3, I don't think I'd have a great deal of problems with it. As long as they balance free and paid content like they did in previously, I don't think a lot needs to change there for people to be happy.
Yeah, it's the games as a service model that's been operated by games like Anthem, and to some extent the Avengers game.
Anthem,
the game released content light with all these great plans, but maybe they really are just plans. There's absolutely no resolve behind them. Where I don't think that is the case here, and I think we saw that with Payday 2. That was a game that they looked after, right? After the game released well, like I say, financially, but very content light and to fairly mixed reviews because core gameplay great, but there wasn't a lot to do. So they have to avoid that, but a standard DLC model probably wouldn't be the worst way of playing it. I'd like there to be better purchase options. And one of the best things about Payday 2 when it comes to new heist content is you don't have to buy a thing. You can just play it with a friend or anyone online, and that's really smart, and that coming back would be great. And then what you do is you incentivize a purchase by adding something a little bit more to the DLC, like, costumes, weapons, whatever. Non-essential purchase, but something that fans of the game may well want to pick up.
And it did well with Payday 2. They said it that, like, towards the end, they were like, we've made so much money off Payday 2, we're just going to keep making free content now. Like, enjoy. Like, they didn't need to make any more money off it. It's a shame they didn't keep doing it at the time now, because they probably would have maybe had a bit more finances behind their back when
wasn't
Walking Dead
Payday 2's
flopped.
fault, though, was it?
No, that's a whole other mess. But yeah, we don't want to be like games like Anthem. That I remember seeing about Anthem that they put Christmas decorations up one year, and then they were still up in February. And when it came to Valentine's Day, like, we don't want that. We do not want that. That is like, that's a whole world of yikes for me.
That's where you can't joke about Dead Game anymore. Like, if you had an Anthem shirt with Dead Game on the front, that would be a bit of a ooh.
Because that's a factual
Payday,
one.
it's like,
it's not a meme. It's like, yeah, that really is. Because I was surprised it took as long for Anthem to be pulled as it did. What annoys me with that is that the devs spent a year trying to make a rebuilded version of the game to relaunch it, and then EA went, do you know what, actually, never mind. That's a year of people's careers that's just been wasted. It's like, no, the game clearly flopped, and that's not a game like Battlefront 2 where they could have redeemed it. That's just, they should have just pulled the plug.
It's a bit of a too big to fail attitude, right? And Overkill doesn't have that. Like, Starbreeze doesn't. They're not too big to fail. They could fail.
They have done.
To get it right, right. Whereas if you're too big to fail, you've got enough finances to back up all your bad decisions.
Yeah,
you can make a useless game and get away with it. Whereas that's not the case with Payday 3, and that's one of the reasons I've got so much confidence in it. And I also think there's a lot of love for the franchise at the company. There's a lot of people still around from Payday 2's creation. At least everyone's favourite Almir is. So
long-haired Almir, still not used to that.
He's slowly evolving.
Yeah,
before he becomes Payday 3 Almir.
Oh god, I don't know. I hope that they also, like, not even just for my own sake or for yours, but I think listening to what the content creators have been saying and also the community is probably also a very important thing, because when you and I make videos about things Payday 3 should have, you've done that, I'm looking to do that soon. Like, when we make these kind of videos, they're coming from the perspectives of people like us who've played the game so much and we're so used to the good and bad of the games. But then you've also backed up by, like, communities and comment sections that say, I also think this, I think that, and if they really lean into what the community is saying about Payday 2, what the strong points are, the weak points are, they can really influence how Payday 3 works using those as well.
Yeah, and I'm sure we come up with totally, like, infeasible
some stupid ideas, but there will be, no doubt.
There's a core there. There's like a... And I think there's been proof of that with Payday 2, with the weapon range multipliers. I mean, they're not perfect, and they've ended up being released in a form that I think doesn't change very much, but it's a step in the right direction, and it's proof that there's real willingness to change and follow those ideas. And I did toot my own horn and say, wow, every single video I made about, this weapon's disgustingly strong, all of them got nerfed by the time we came to it coming to the live client. I was like, yes. I don't know whether I should feel honoured or really angry that all my videos have been outdated.
Or your community could just get angry with you, like, you shouldn't have said anything, that gun was good and now you've ruined it.
Yeah, but the dedication to balancing the game is a really good sign, and it's proof that we're not just getting paid content.
Yeah. I'm hopeful.
I hope Payday 3 follows that same sort of design philosophy. Do you have any sort of big wants or desires for Payday 3? Or...
I don't know. I've heard people say that the skill system is a bit too kind of like outdated now, but I don't know. I think the thing I love about the skill system in Payday 2 is that it is so customizable. You know, when Raid came out, it was very much, hey, pick a character, they've got their own skills. Every time you level up, you pick one of the three, And if you don't like it, tough. You can't go back on it. You want to go back on it, and you have to make a new account with the same character and fix those mistakes. That is like so far from enjoyable. I remember when I got the game, I played it for like a couple of days and immediately went, this is not for me. It's going in the bin. It didn't go in the bin. I've still got it. I'm going to make a video on it at some point, returning to it. That'll be fun. But whereas Payday 2, at any one point, you can make a skill build that combines all different types of skills, different weapon classes, different abilities and things that work really well together, and you could find some really interesting combinations. I mean, there's probably like millions and millions of combinations of skills, which is just amazing the way you can work it. And then with the amount of guns available in the game, and especially now with the meta they're trying to update of trying to make all the guns unique, it makes it even more customizable. So rather than being like, hey, I'm making a build here that works for high damage assault rifles, it's like, hey, I'm making a build that works for the Bonetti pistol. You can really like nail it down now, which I think works well. And I think if they abandon that in Payday 3, it will be a shame, because I think that skill system is something that's so, I don't know if it's completely unique to Payday 2, but I just like the idea of not just working up a linear tree. Linear trees are fine, but they're a dime a dozen in games these days. I think the customizability is just so strong for Payday 2.
It's a fairly standard RPG style. It's very reminiscent of Borderlands, and I really do recommend you play Borderlands.
I played a bit of the first one when it was free on Xbox and didn't really get into it, but I've heard the other ones are better, so I may just try like 2 or the pre-sequel.
Yeah, no, strongly recommend. But yeah, it's not. They don't do anything incredibly unique with the skills, and I think there could be more. But yeah, I think I tend to agree with you that Payday 3 needs a skill system.
Obviously, yeah, definitely, no doubt.
But yeah, I don't think it's a bad setup to follow. I would love to see more, because they've got such great characters and people love the characters.
Yeah.
I'd love there to be a little bit more to the character you play. A lot of people disagree with this. I know that. They like that you can play whatever character with whatever build, with whatever perk deck, and I get that too. But I'd love, at the very least, some custom animations to come in Payday 3, something a little bit unique.
Yeah, that stuff
Great
is
thing
fine. Yeah,
I saw on Reddit was like, you got a guy like Chains. Imagine him reloading an LMG. Well, he does it like very professionally. You've got a character like Jimmy, pours a little bit of the white stuff in instead, and just a unique animation that makes you really feel like you're playing a character. And maybe you do it marginally slower or marginally faster as certain characters. I'd like that. I know a lot of people wouldn't, but I like finding identity in the character I play and enjoy. Because I think that's one of the best things about Payday as a franchise. It's the masks. They're so recognizable. And the characters, they're infamous at this point. Pardon the pun.
That's another thing, actually. I like more recently done with, especially with Black Ops Cold War, where when you prestige, you're just adding levels now. I mean, the way Payday 2's done it now with the Infamy rewards for like 25 upwards is great. But I would like it if when you go Infamous, you don't have to build up skill points to make a skill system. I think I like what they've done with locking up the profile, so you can get your builds back when you get to a certain level. That's something. It's better than nothing. I don't really use it, but it's better than nothing. But I think it would be really nice if we could work up our high infamy levels, but still have builds. They could limit it a bit if they want, but they don't have to set it the way like your level 0. Now you've got to do a few diamond heists to even get a competent build to carry on playing it. It feels like a bit of a stop in the road. You're building up momentum. Then it's like slow down. Okay, now do a couple more of these. Now speed up, slow down, and constantly. And now up for that 500 times. It's like, I don't know. I like it, especially like in Call of Duty, where like the old prestige stuff. You go prestige, and they'd be like, "Oh, try a different gun this prestige." But what about the one you were using? Well, I've got to try something different, I suppose. But it's like you can vary things on the go and use bits you've already earned in previous infamies without having to have this roadblock in the way. And I think that would work quite well. That'd be a cool way of kind of upgrading the infamy system.
I think progression should be tied to money, and it could just be tied to money.
That's what they did in Payday the Heist. That was one thing that I thought was interesting. Like a lot of it was linked to the money.
But it was money. Like if you'd taken off the $ and just called that EXP, it would have been pretty much the same. Now, of course, like you stealing money did level you up, right?
Yeah.
That was good. But I'm talking about you, instead of it just being, you can buy. I mean, when the game came out, you had to buy your skills.
Yeah.
You could buy your weapons. Yeah, that was
I
didn't love that system.
No.
But why not make it so you can... and then we had Continental coins and the safe house and expansions of that. But why not make it so, it's living the heisting fantasy. Why don't you make us use the money to improve, our safe house, how our characters look? Even things that are closely linked to the gameplay. I mean, the idea of assets originally was it's a gamble. You're putting your money in to make certain elements of the heist a bit easier. They could really expand upon that. Yeah, it's nothing. You just click the button because why not? It was meant to mean something. And money hasn't meant something in a very long time. And I think tying a lot of Payday 3's progression to money would be a really smart way of doing it. And you could do some fun... make some enjoyable purchases in your safe house and things you can show off, or even things you can use in Heist. That would be the way I go with it. You can keep levels if you want. I'm not really concerned about that. I know I was excited for the Infamy update, but I've reached 35 and haven't gone Infamous in a long time because it's too much of a pain.
Yeah, I want to get to Infamy 100 so I can do like when I do a video on the rewards, I can be like, here's me actually equipping the stuff. But like, I honestly, as cool as it is to have those Infamies now, it goes back to what I said. It's like every time I go Infamous, I've got to do a few more stealth heists. If I want to go Infamous at the end of a stream, which I think I did on the last one now, when I stream Payday 2 again, it's going to be like, right, so we got to start off with me doing a few stealths to get a few levels. It's no good. I don't like
it's not
that
ideal for us
part of it.
As like...
Yeah. But I think it works for anybody as well. I think beyond us as well, it's just a bit silly. But yeah, tying the money to be a bit more important, that's something I thought about, because it's like, what's the money at this point? It's like, hey, let's try and get to $1 billion. Why? No other reason, really. Just let's get a bit more money. You've got nothing to spend it on. Like, I remember the old days where you'd lose all your money when you went Infamous, which was an interesting idea, and people would buy loads of like the same gun, go Infamous, and then sell them all again. But like, even then, money meant something.
I made a video on that back in the day, buying loads of deagles and selling.
Oh my god! Yeah. But like, even that at that point on Xbox 360, like with the videos I've been doing there, money mattered, because I would like respec my skills and have no money left and be like, right, I've got to just buy this skill. That's it. Like it mattered a bit. So being able to buy, like you said, safe house upgrades or clothes, or even tying like attachments, but making them decently priced so that you aren't very quickly having way more money than you know what to do with. Because it feels like if you play Payday 2 for like a couple of hours, you're already starting to build up more money than you know what to do with. If you do a few solid heists, that's it. So for people like us who've played the game on and off for 6-7 years, it's like, after a couple of heists, we're done. I think they need to work on progression a bit more.
Yeah,
but
you
the
are
foundation
just
is definitely
playing
there.
Because the gameplay is fun. It's less progression based, and so it'd be nice if there's more to that, or to get like rob the cop and however many kills you need for that.
Oh god, I don't even know how many people have got to that. That's like
no, it's very possible, but you
yeah.
know, I'm nowhere near, despite playing for a long time.
I don't know where I'm up to. I think I'm about a fifth or a quarter of the way. I think I'm not sure.
That would be pretty impressive if on PC.
I think
I'm pretty sure that's where I am, and I have about 2,500 hours.
Maybe it's not that much then, but I thought I'd done a decent percentage of it. I might have to have. Yeah, I'll have to have a look.
A lot of kills. But you know, that's the only thing you could be working towards, and that isn't super interactive, is it? So sort of my vision for the game is this more first person focused. You're in the world as your character, and you know, you walk down the road, you go visit Uncle Vlad, and you buy some things from him. You go to his bakery and you purchase some assets for the heist to come, some extra smoke grenades, something along those lines.
Yeah, those.
Then you go down the road and you find Gage in his store, and you say, "All right, I want my weapon upgrading." Instead of it all being just done within menus, I think that would really make it feel like a AAA title. And you tie some value to the money you've earned, and you get that real. It's like a tangible feeling of, here's what I've earned. I'm going to use it on this. Whereas you do it in menus in Payday 2, it's just like, yeah, clicking buttons. That's nice. I've got one of those now. Gonna go use that on some heist, and there's no permanence to anything. I don't find.
No.
That's what I'd like with Payday 3. That's like my big overarching desire.
It would be good. I'd like that. Yeah, I think with a lot of the things in Payday 3, the foundation is definitely there. But I think things need to be either tweaked or rebalanced or made a bit more challenging or just a bit more interesting, I think, in some parts, just to kind of make it work a bit better. I think they really need to develop something there. But the foundation is there, and I think it can be done. I really do. So I'm hoping that they, you know, take the strong points in their stride, put them into Payday 3, and really build on them and add some new things on top to make it interesting.
I think mechanically, Payday 2 is very limited by Diesel.
Mm.
There's a lot of things
Driving!
that occur. There's a lot of things that occur because of Diesel that, with a new engine, could be very different. I imagine the game's going to feel very different to Payday 2. Payday 2 has such an arcadey, floaty feel to it, and I imagine it's going to feel a lot heavier and a lot more like you're doing something.
I wonder if it'll still feel like a Left 4 Dead thing with the cops, whether they might go for a more kind of... I keep comparing it to Call of Duty, but more like a Call of Duty, like if you're playing a Call of Duty campaign, like where there's loads of enemies, but it doesn't feel like you're being swarmed by cops. They might go for something like that instead. Wonder whether they might do that.
Payday 2 and the Heist were originally designed as like heisting simulators, whereas now they're horde shooters. Right? They are like Left 4 Dead. You're just clicking on people, and I think maybe they'll try and find that identity again as a bit more of an immersive game.
I think I like that too. Yeah.
We do like clicking on cops. I mean, helmets are going to fly. That's just
and necks
how
are going
it
to
is.
snap and twist and stretch on Diesel at the very least.
And stealth is a big thing they're going to have to look at and work on. I think I put a big section in that on my last Payday 3 video about what they need to work on for stealth, because the system right now is fun. But there's so many quality of life improvements that could be made to make it more of a functioning stealth game.
Yeah.
Just change how the AI works, for one. I expect they'll do that. Some people will like it. Some people really enjoy the arcadey nature. I know Mortifier just loves to zoom around on stealth heists.
Yeah.
That's how he plays.
He's great with that.
He enjoys Payday for that, whereas I'm very ready for something different. So it's going to be polarizing. But it's about finding a nice balance there, and I've got a lot of faith. But we need to see something.
Yeah, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think they're very foolish for not even just doing like a 10-second teaser with a logo that doesn't even have to be the official one, just something, and then like just even say 2023. Done. That's it. Something that's shareable, because I believe right now at Payday 3, there's a lot of hype in the community, but I don't really know, despite all the media stuff last year, how many people outside the community even are aware of the game, let alone excited for it. Like, a lot of it seems to me like it's all very contained, and there is a big Payday community, don't get me wrong, but I think if they even had just a tiny shareable thing of, you know, let's do this or something like on screen, and then Payday 3, 2023, done, 10-second thing, people can share it and be like, wow, have you seen this? Payday 3's got a little mini teaser, it's coming out in 2 years' time, and people can talk about it more then, I think.
Yeah, it's about timing it though, and I imagine there's a corporate team that knows a lot more about that than we do. We just want the content.
What do we know? We're idiots.
It is still over a couple of years away, or at least a couple of years away, and maybe that's just not on the radar yet. I wouldn't. This year, I'm fairly positive. We're going to turn into those
surely,
speculation channels who are like, all right, it's E3 coming up, or it's the Game Awards. Are we getting something for Payday 3?
Yeah, literally.
Checking out like fun. even the Japanese like expos, like, yep, it could be here.
I'm flying to Japan just to see Eric Etabari, who's not even there for Payday 2. He's just there to talk about some other thing, but I'm going to ask him about Payday 3. God, imagine. Oh, honestly.
But I can't wait to hear something solid about how the game's going to look and feel. I think is just the first thing. Do you remember the first trailer for Payday 2? Or the first like teaser?
Wasn't it based off the Dark Knight?
Yeah. It's the bank heist. It's just Dallas stood there with his mask. That's all they need to do. But
something like that.
It needs to work in engine and look good, and they have to time it right. I get that. But I
wonder if they'll remaster some heists. I think they're bound to, with them bringing back loads of Payday the Heist ones, or all of them. I think they're bound to remaster some Payday 2 heists. I wonder which ones, but
I imagine they might go more referential than direct.
Maybe.
Because of course, we had all the Payday the Heist remastered. That was a lot of heists.
Yeah, I don't want to see any of them come back, really.
Heists remastered.
Maybe First World Bank, but I don't think any of the other ones need to come back now.
I'd put money on it. We're robbing First World Bank.
Yeah.
We are...
Pre-order now and get access to the First World Bank DLC.
That New York screenshot is like, yeah, we are absolutely robbing First World Bank. But... yeah, I'm not sure we will see a return of exact heists, because I'm not sure we'll be heisting in the same places, or other than First World Bank, and I don't think we'll be doing the exact same thing. I think the point is we'll be going to First World Bank to do something different. because that kind of ties into what are we doing?
Yeah, like how are they going to explain all the characters coming back? Yeah.
It doesn't. How do we go beyond that? Loads of people suggested prequel, which I didn't hate, but felt like I didn't love it. As, you know, you throw the prequel in between big releases. This is the big release. This has to add something. And you know, one of the reasons we might be in New York is because we're going underground, doing things away from what President Bane is seeing, or maybe President Bane's been taken care of. He's been assassinated. Maybe President Bane has us doing.
Oh, that would
things.
do Simon so dirty. After all that, I hope they don't do that. All that effort to make him president, then it's just the president's dead. Bye bye.
But what reason would we have to not be chilling out on that desert island by the Mayan temple?
This is the thing. I'm wondering about that. But I mean, if they answer for Bane, I've said this before and I'll say it again, I kind of feel as though there's nothing in that offshore Payday cutscene to tell us that there couldn't be another game between that and the Rumors and Stories thing. It does write off a bunch of characters, and there might be some characters that
Rumors
are irredeemable.
and Stories is... I'm not having it.
Yeah, like, at the end of the day, that is just a bit of basically some glorified credits for the characters. Like, that can easily be ignored, or even in canon kind of, like, shaped around. Like, Dallas Sporty Yacht, that could be a hub. That could be a hub for the game. Doesn't matter, they could keep going. Like, you know, they can write it round to make it work. So I think, in terms of characters, I think any of the original ones could come back. I don't think a lot of them will. Probably the original 4 minus Wolf. I don't think Wolf will come back. The thing was, they recast Chains between Payday 1 and 2, but there wasn't as much of a notice there because Payday the Heist was very much more, I'm hesitant to say indie game, but it was a much smaller scale game. So when you go into Payday 2, which was the more popular one, people didn't really, probably a lot of people still don't even know that it wasn't Damien Poitier playing Chains in the first game, whereas now you've got so many people that have played Payday 2, you would notice that change. So I wonder if they'd be more hesitant now to do that. You know, would they recast someone for Wolf, or would they just not bring Wolf back?
My money's still on Wolf coming back.
You
if
think?
We get the core crew, Wolf will probably come back in some form. He may not be a playable character, like many of them might not be playable characters. Although that first screenshot does make me think, all right, we're going to be playing as Dallas.
Yeah.
But if it's... So, the White House took place in 2018, officially. If it's like 2020, some of these heisters are in their like 60s, 70s.
Yeah.
And Rust, I think, would be in his 70s.
He's not coming back.
On it. No, don't get me wrong. I don't think Rust.
I don't want him back. If Ron Perlman's going to put that same lack of effort in again, I want him as far away from the game as possible.
But the characters would be so old. So like, other than the very young ones, like Clover, Sydney,
yeah, I was going to say, yeah, Sydney wouldn't be too old. She could come back.
Houston as well is quite young. But those characters that are original Payday characters and aren't tied to anyone's identity definitely could see returning. But characters that are tied to someone else's identity, like Wick,
Scarface, bye-bye.
Scarface.
He's already gone bye-bye.
They were more so than anything promotional characters anyway. Yes, they were made to fit into the Payday lore, but they can be referenced. But I don't see them coming back as much as I'd love them to. Jacket's the one that people are like, yeah, we need Jacket. And like, he's the most possible because he's a video game character and there's still links with Devolver and stuff.
I think John Wick is also still feasible potentially purely because they've done 3 different DLCs with John Wick. There's clearly a very good working relationship there. And if they've got more of a budget and they can manage it, I don't want to say it, but Keanu... It's not impossible, you know? They might actually end up getting Keanu to voice John Wick in the game. If they did, I think everyone would lose their nut. I think it'd be fantastic, but it depends on whether they pull it off.
E3 in like a year's time, Keanu walks on stage to announce
Imagine,
Payday 3.
Oh my god. That was cool enough for Cyberpunk, and I didn't even care about Cyberpunk at the time. Like, if you count for Payday 3, that'd be it. Oh, Cyberpunk. Oh, what happened there, my sweet? Oh dear.
Yeah, computer couldn't play it, never touched it.
I bought it, streamed it for an hour, closed the game, refunded it. First time I've ever done that. Only time I've ever done that on my Xbox. That game was it wasn't even interesting. Never mind the bugs. I just didn't find it interesting at all. I could not get into it, and then it was buggy as all hell. They asked me to practice putting a body in a bin. It didn't show me where in the bin to put it, so I just dropped it on the bin, and the body just phased through the bin, and it was like hanging out of it. I was like, this is something you see in Payday 2, a 2013
and we love
game.
it.
Yeah, we love it because it's like got this, like a bit of charm to it. It's like, oh, it's an old game, it's a bit buggy. Cyberpunk has been delayed about 3 or 4 times to stop this stuff from happening, and they still released it, and it's like that. It's like, no, I'm good. I'm all right. I'm okay. When it's like £5 or £10 in the future, maybe I'll pick it up again and have another go and be a bit nicer to it. But right now, save me money, Tar. Save me money. I'm good. I'm good. I'd rather spend all the money on the new Life is Strange game. I'm hoping I haven't got anyone for Life is Strange confirmed. My goal this season is to get someone from Life is Strange on this podcast just so I can talk about Life is Strange like on a proper extent, because that new game looks fantastic. I swear down.
Yeah, I haven't really played those heavily story-driven, choice-based.
So good, so good.
Played a little bit of the first Telltale Walking Dead game and was like, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, my favorite game of all time is not Payday 2. It is in fact Fallout New Vegas. So
oh, don't say that. My chat got me to play
I know
that
you don't
on stream,
like it.
and
I know
it's something I used to say about in the past. It's like when you play a more modern version of a game, like a newer installment, when you go back to an older one, you don't have the sense of nostalgia, and also a lot of mechanics also feel a bit backwards, so it's harder to get into them. Like I played Fallout 4, it's my first Fallout game. I adored it. I know a lot of people don't like it as much because it felt like a step back from 3, but I never played 3, so I wouldn't have known that. So for 4, I got really into it, loved the story, loved the world. Went to 3 in New Vegas and just kind of, I couldn't get into it as much. I struggled.
It's the writing and the narrative, but I love the Vegas atmosphere. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
But we're all going to be so nostalgic for Payday 2, you know. It's the Payday the Heist people are like that as well. They're like, the good old days. So, you know, there will be, when Payday 3 comes out there will be like, this is missing from Payday 2, or this is missing. But I hope that the overall experience is so much more polished, and just the game just has to be fun.
Yeah,
honestly, that's the key point. If it's a bore or a grind, we're in trouble.
Let's wonder if they did the same thing. They definitely won't do this with Life is Strange are doing now. The new game, pre-order the new game's Ultimate Edition and get Life is Strange Before the Storm remastered. Imagine that. Pre-order Payday 3 and get Payday 2 remastered. That'd be more of a console player focused thing. Like,
yeah.
Imagine.
I mean, it would be, wouldn't it? It'd be purely console focused, really.
I have wondered whether they make versions of it for Xbox Series X and PS5, but I don't see it because it's still Diesel engine. You still have the same problems unless you release it right when everything's been added and nothing more is coming. But by that point, it'd be pointless purely because when that stops, no doubt Payday 3 will be like 2 months away or something. Yeah. Or even less, probably. Imagine they released a heist the day before Payday 3 comes out and it's like, here's the prologue mission.
That would be so cool.
Yeah, that would be great.
It might not work, but Borderlands 2 did that with one DLC that was like a archway into the Borderlands 3 story, and I know I keep coming back to Borderlands, but it's just an example.
I keep coming back to Call of Duty and Life is Strange, so you're all good.
It's that exact thing. You release something for the previous game right before, just to get the hype meters to their absolute max. But I said something like hype is the death of something really poetic,
profound and meaningful.
Basically hype bad.
Hype bad, yes.
But it's hard with Payday 3 when you've been waiting for it for as many years as I feel like I have.
Well, I think that's probably about all I've got in terms of theory, so I think that's probably a good point to round this off. So before we do, now's your time to be the ultimate sellout. If you've been scared of selling yourself out before, you've got full access. Whatever you want to promote or sell out now, now's your time.
I haven't like memorized this, so this is going to be
go for it. Improv.
The YouTube channel is TheKknowley for now. Who knows? It might change, but yeah, TheKknowley. I make Payday videos and pretty much just Payday content. Update things. Always faster than Troy when it comes to getting the news out. Keep that in mind.
False.
It's actually very false. My Twitch channel is just Twitch Knowley, and Twitter Knowley too. So just with 2 Ks. Don't ask why.
Why are there 2 Ks?
Because it's meant to be cannoli. It's meant to be how you pronounce it, and I realized no, I don't like that.
Cannoli.
Yeah, if you think about it, right? One's silent.
No. It sounds like you're trying to rip off Obi-Wan.
It ended.
Obi-Wan Cannoli.
That wasn't my intention, but it was just. That was my gamer tag when I was like 13. All right, so
Red Archer was my gamer tag on Xbox 360. I thought when you picked your new gamer tag, you had to have 2 words and a number. Don't know why it never crossed my mind that you could just do whatever you wanted. But I was like, all right, 2 words and number. I like color red. I like Red Archer 997, and then eventually I changed it to Red Archer Live and changed my gamer tag on there too. It was all very weird. It was all very, very weird.
Yeah, so that's why there's 2 Ks, and then I keep it stylistically because I think it looks better.
Yeah.
It makes me harder to find in the algorithm.
Oh god, I don't know.
I play on hard mode.
You do. You play on hard mode, and yet you're still pulling it off. So be proud.
Thank you.
There you go. So yeah, that's everything I wanted to cover with you. So thank you very much for coming on. It's been a blast.
Thank you very much for having me on. It's been really fun. I think we could talk about this all day.
We really could.
We'll probably talk in circles.
Yeah, like we'll just have another episode down the line. It's like, hey, we've got like another 5 Payday 3 theories. Let's spend 4 hours talking about those, you know? But yeah, it's been a blast. And we'll look forward to more Payday 3 news and maybe do some more things down the line. Let's see.
Yeah, I hope so. Thanks a lot, everyone on Troy's channel. And hopefully I'll see you over at mine occasionally.
And don't forget all the other audio platforms you can listen to the podcast on.
Of course, I don't remember all of those. You'd have to shout those out.
What are those, I hear you ask? Well, let me tell you. You can listen on Spotify. I hope I don't forget any now. That's going to be really, really inconvenient. You can listen on Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and there's also one called Breaker that it was auto-added to. I've never heard of it, but if you're on Breaker, you can listen to it on there too. I don't know what that is. It's not a good promotion for Breaker, but yeah. So thank you very much for coming on, and thank you all of you for listening. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time with another episode. So until then, thanks for listening. I'll see you all then. Oh, nice salute. Nice salute. I like that. That was good.